Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Thank you for joining us today. This is our continuing sessions on trying to help both ourselves and all those who are part of our collective consciousness family to help us understand the transformation that we are all going through, the changes that we are all going through, the opportunities that are presented to ourselves, but also we need to now prepare as well. So I want to talk today about a little bit about the second wave of fear that will be upon us soon enough. And the first one was the COVID-19 scamdemic, as I like to call it. And more concerns and questions are being raised about what we're being told, what we're being shown, and most of the stuff is just fear, 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 fear. So it hasn't quite worked the way it was planned to work, and I don't really want to elaborate on that. But what I would say to you is the time is now getting ready that there will be a second wave, and the whole agenda is to maintain this level of fear, panic in all of us. And as long as you are in a state of fear, as long as you are consumed with self-preservation and protection, and psychologically you're weak as well in this space, and therefore one tends to follow the rules and the regulations and recommendations, which are called guidance, but really what it's doing is subconsciously asking you to shut your mouth, to stay home, to not see what is really going on. So we have to become aware of some of the tricks that are underway. And so at one level it is fear, but also at the other level it's anger. So anger from one side, we can have this is cultivated, this is generated through I don't know, forced vaccinations, false information about laws, and yes, we have to defend our rights. We have to defend humanity for what humanity is, not to some AI, semi-cyber kind of artificial intelligence induced biological system. To be human is much more than that. To be human is no different to being the source. And it's this self-discovery. Yes, if you love that stuff, then yes, go down that. But first discover who and what you are. So let us first understand that there may be a second wave that will be coming upon us in May and June as we leave April. And we might find that people who go for the second wave, who are prone to illness and sickness, are people who've already been injected, people who've already had some kind of medication in the recent past. There'll be an interesting question just to make sure we keep an eye on what is actually going on. It's important to realize that the media is used in ways that you're not even aware of. It's like from a psychological point of view, the media is used in order to hypnotize, in order to maintain a particular worldview. When I say hypnotize, it's to see one thing, but to ignore all that's around you. The truth of the matter is that there are ways in order, you've seen this on stage shows, but there are ways this is done through your screens. And it's important to avoid the negative broadcasting, mind control media. It's really important to actually have exercise some control with that. Otherwise, you will find that there are many who are just unquestioned. They just do not, no critical thinking at all, no ability to think for themselves. And it's not that they are stupid or ignorant, but the point is they're in a kind of a coma, like a sleepwalker, semi-aware. This is the term Maya. Maya means this. Maya means you're semi-conscious. You're not quite aware. You're not quite open. You haven't yet become open. So first thing is, don't believe anything until it's your own experience. Two, make it for yourself. And three, work with people around you. Work with people around you. Work with those around you. Look at the skill sets that you have. So as we begin to expand ourselves, we also make sure that in this, it's a battle. It's a battle. It's a battle for your health, but it's more than that. But because at the moment most of us are really concerned about health, well, focus on that. The battle is for your health. The medical system is geared against your health. It's a treatment system. I speak as a chemist. I have worked within the pharmaceutical industry. I understand how it works from my own perspective and experience. You just have to look around you. The fundamental difference that completely, even in the 21st century, are still saying that the mind is separate from the body. Yeah, so you have psychology and you have physiology. This is just rubbish. This is just utter nonsense that people have been fed and they've believed it to the point that the moment you have a headache, you don't go and drink a glass of water. You don't go out for a walk. You don't give yourself fresh air, but you go for the pill. Or some people do. So do you see how we have been hypnotized in a particular way? The time has come to dehypnotize yourself. As the Sufis say, learning to unlearn. And in learning to unlearn, we have to first accept something. We have to accept that please, we have to accept that please take control of your health and well-being. Take control of that. Because your health and your well-being is your greatest asset. And if you are strong enough within yourself, then the second wave of this pandemic, the second wave will become less impactful. So, how do you prepare yourself? Vitamin D3 with the K supplement. Maximum. Make sure you get hold of this stuff. Make sure, like we said to you right at the start, vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc are essential components to deal with your immunity, to build your immunity. And you will notice all the propaganda that's out there to try and persuade you that vitamin D does not work or it's not. These are very valuable supplements for your body. So wholeheartedly go out there, make sure you sit in the sun, you get some vitamin D in you if you don't want to take any tablets. But it's important that we do that. It's important that we start building our physical immunity. Some exercise, take care of yourself, ground yourself, because the shit's just about to get real. And what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is the exposures that we will be witnessing over the next few months, because all of this is, as much as it seems to be chaos and upheaval, there is a kind of a divine unfolding to this plan. And it's a really auspicious time for all of us. It is so auspicious that we will only realize this when it's over. But in the meantime, we have to go through the upheaval. So build your immunity, build your physical immunity, and build your mental immunity. Become ready for the changes that are coming our way. So it's not just the second pandemic. There are other things that are geared up to come, and some of them are manipulated. Some of them are naturally occurring phenomena, and some of this phenomenon will start to become quite surreal. And so you might find people who meditate in particular, or people who have a sensitivity. You might find that you're having experiences which are quite extraordinary, incredible downloads, especially during dream states, but incredible downloads, knowing things just out of nowhere. These are really important parts of recognizing that your current level of humanity, your confined consciousness is now starting to seep through. And look, consciousness doesn't, you know, change as such. It's just that your awareness increases of, different levels or different parts of the spectrum of reality. So there are changes that are along the way. Some are natural, some are manipulated. The ones that are manipulated really need to be mindful of this. Are based on one to create fear, and the other is to create anger. And we will soon find, as we said to you 2 months ago, a month and a half ago, that by June, July, by end of May, June, July, we will starting to transform to anger and people actually reacting. And it's about time because humanity has to stand up for what is right. It has to defend itself. No one else is going to do this. No one else is going to do this. You are going to have to take charge of your own self, right? This is a crossroad. It won't be what your parents say to you, what your children will say. Well, what did you do when there was this change coming? So you can say, I actually did something. I didn't just sit around waiting for it to happen. I actually contributed. And enabled the change to happen in a most smooth and healthy way that I could. And this is really what these series of talks are about, to give you practical methods of saying, all right, we're here now. This might be useful now. Let's move on. And so we to you is the next stage of fear. It's like a wave. It'll come. And way before any of the earth changes that we are also due. So there are many changes that we are now as humanity going through. In fact, all existence is going through, but we are certainly going through this. And as a part of this, all that has been hidden is starting to come through. So the child trafficking, the human trafficking, the mafia is basically your military system, which is the bulldog, your governmental system, who are the puppets, and the banking system. You put these three things together. Underneath that, you have your pharmaceutical, you have the food, and you have the money control. And as these different layers, it's just layers of mafia, layers of ripping you off. And that's all that's happened. We've all been ripped off. I mean, just the stupidity that naturally occurring water is then put in bottles and sold back to you. I mean, that tells you where humanity has been misled. So time to reclaim what is, right? So in this exposure that we will be coming across, some of this exposure will shake our foundation. So our worldview, the way we see the world, the way we see ourselves in the world, is going to get a hammering unless we begin to make sure that during our meditation, we begin to recognize how we begin to move beyond the sense of the egoic self. Because it's the ego that's going to go through the hard time. It's not your consciousness, it's your ego. The more firm your ego is, the more it holds on to all that's around it, the harder it's going to fall. So it's important to realize that, look, this mask, we will hold it as best as we can, but if it falls, let it fall. Don't worry about it. What you are is much more. So as I spoke to you earlier on, that people will be starting to have, or maybe witnessing over the last few weeks and months, that their experiences are slightly different. And some of these experiences are predictive. Some of these, it's like, for example, a number of people are having dreams which are particularly distressing, of individuals underwater, individuals dying. But now this could be induced by the constant fear stuff. But this is also about individuals beginning to uh, uh, open their sense of self. Yeah, open their sense of self, um, uh, their worldview to being, what, maybe there's more to me than just what I thought it was. Yeah. So the the message today was that from so when we first came across the pandemic, there was a level of resistance. There was a level of resistance. There was a level of shock, right? As we become used to it, as we've helped during our talks a few weeks back, that we've taken what was unpleasant and we've looked at good things that it's brought our life. So we've looked at it as a blessing. So we've changed our relationship with the first level, and therefore we have survived. We have people out there that I come across through my therapeutic spaces that I work with that are genuinely having a very difficult time. Deep depression, anxiety, nervousness, unable to maintain some level of normality, suicidal, depressed. Yes, well, you need to have a practice. Otherwise, you cannot remain grounded in these changes because everything is now shaking, right? So our worldview is shaking. So it's important to start cultivating a good, solid practice. A practice, something for your mind, which is the meditation, which is what we try and help kind of we participate with all of us together. The heart meditation, really important. The heart meditation. So maybe today we can look at the heart meditation with the movemental meditation. The heart meditation is important because this is how frequencies are pulsated into your body, which change not just here. I mean, it can go through your eyes, any of your sense organs, but this is one of the easiest ways in because we are unaware of it. And the heart produces an electromagnetic field that's like a donut. You know, it extends and it's strong, but it becomes weak when we are fearful. It becomes very weak when we are fearful. It can become very strong when we're angry, but then quickly retract because anger again only lasts for a few minutes and the residual energy lasts a lot longer. So it's important to strengthen the EM field. And we can do this through our heart meditation, and perhaps you can join me in a couple of minutes for that. Then for your physical, vitamin D, vitamin C, zinc, green vegetables, uh, absolute must. Sun, walk, do some qigong, tai chi, yoga. If you can mix all three of them, even better. But I recommend qigong because I feel most people can do that relatively easy and they don't have to get into any crazy postures. Um, then on the other side is to make sure that you remain grounded. So a good exercise to ground yourself is to stand up, put your hands on either side on your belly button, draw slow deep breath in, and as you move your hands up, move them 2 times. One, all the way down, two, and then once again, three. And you will notice that this simple exercise grounds you. Walking barefoot on the path, on the grass, especially now that it's raining in the UK here, really therapeutic. Draws out the negative, the electron stealers. It helps the body maintain an alkaline pH of 7.35 to 7.45, which is optimum health, right? We can increase the pH a little bit, but once it begins to go down, so remember pH is 7.3. Once it goes to 6.9 towards acidic, cancer begins to develop, right? So it's important. Fear will damage this stuff. So walk barefoot to increase your electrical, your negative charge, such that you are alkaline. Warm water first thing in the morning. Water with lemon, very good. Water with ginger, hot water with ginger and lemon in the morning before you eat anything. Excellent stuff. Builds your immunity, builds your body. My colleague Push at the Flame Center has a huge amount of knowledge about how you can use supplements and certain Ayurvedic processes to build our immunity. So this is minimum. And if you don't have this, my friends, I'm telling those people around you, just have a look around people around you. That sometimes you have to just not even, you have to pinch yourself to notice how people are reacting and acting, that they have self-muzzled themselves, like dogs self-muzzle themselves, and they are so petrified. They are so petrified that they are not even having the kind of communications with their own family, let alone people out there. Now, this is part of the agenda. Part of the agenda is to maintain social distance because the electromagnetic field increases when we hug each other. Hugging each other builds our immunity. So you can see how systematically working with fear, certain parameters that have been put there in order to maintain. So, because this is known that this is the time of transition. So, either you block it or it's going to break through. And we are breaking through. We are breaking through because of this. We are breaking through because we are talking to one another. Even though we may be, the world may, or a group of people may want us muzzled, but the hearts are opening. And these hearts, as they open, they connect with each other. We are a global consciousness. Together we are one, and individually we are one. This is our essential truth. And once we begin to become familiar with that oneness, once we become identified with what we are, we go through this process of self realization towards self sovereignty. And sovereignty is what you need. Sovereignty is what you are. You have given this to someone else. So the time has come for us to work with ourselves. And you just take a note of what's happening over the next 2 months, write things down so you can compare with what we are sharing. So we can see that we're on the same timeline. But the time is humanity is waking up. It's fantastic time. Yes, it's a bit hard, but it's fantastic. Look how many people are now talking about vaccinations. Look how many people are now questioning the government figures, the propaganda. How many doctors and professionals are coming out and actually saying, no, there's something not right about this. Yeah, it's not an accident. It's not accident. And how the pharmaceutical companies are so adamant, and their lobbyists are so adamant to make sure you buy the vaccination. You buy that you need to have this disease injected in you in order for you to be immune from it. Go and do some research, go and do some science into immunology, science into the germ theory, and you will see that the science that we used to brainwash you and to put you into this fear, panic, pandemic is old science. It's like Newton science compared with quantum physics. It's old science. At that time, it made sense. But we have grown older. We have become much, much, much more developed as a humanity. So, second wave of fear, be ready for it. And if you know something is coming, then you're less likely to panic when it comes. Know that those who will fall sick are people who've already been injected. That's all that I need to suggest at this stage. But you may find there's a similarity between those who have had medical intervention recently and those who fall ill. But not to worry. Vitamin D3, vitamin C, vitamin zinc strengthen your immunity. Make sure you keep yourself mentally immune. Don't watch too much of this stuff. Just don't watch too much. And if you do, don't believe. Yeah, because that's the consent you give them. That's the consent that's given. I believe what you're telling me. I believe that I need to have this test in order to work with my children. I believe. No, you don't need to believe. You don't need to believe because the ones who are telling you this are known to lie. Are known to lie. So you don't have to believe it. You exercise your critical thinking. If you can, your research tells you what you're told is right, then fine. But without research, just believing, you are just zombies. In our mind, we are all zombies if we do this. So please exercise some discernment for yourself, because consequences of this on your health are significant. So I don't get anything out of this. I'm not going to get a good karmic rebirth because I'm sharing this with you. I'm not. It's what you feel is the right thing to do in being human. That's all it is. There's no expectation. There's no reward. There's no money. There's no status. There's no spirituality. There's no heaven. There's no running from hell. It's simply saying, here's an opportunity. How do we address it in a healthy way? And I come from a wonderful tradition that has had to go through many traumas in life. And so we have learned, like many ancestral indigenous communities have learned, that it takes a certain kind of mindset to defeat what needs to be defeated. And what we need to defeat is to emancipate ourselves from our mental slavery, as Bob Marley said. No one else can do it. You've got to do it. You've got to start with the first point, that what I am told may not be the truth. Let's just go from there. And out of this resistance, we will begin to move towards acceptance. So anyway, I've gone on far too long today, 26 minutes. So let us now do our meditation. So close your eyes and close your mouth and just straighten your back. And as you breathe in, bring your focus to your body itself. The last time you had an opportunity to meditate, how would you want to meditate? So approach it like that. Approach it as this may be the last moment I'm doing something called meditation, for whatever reason. So how would you approach it? As you draw your breath in, becoming aware of your body, become aware of any sensations in your body. Set your intention. Your intention is simply to become present to your experience of what you call life. In your experience that you have through this form that you call your body. Although no one owns this body, but it's a form within which your awareness operates. In fact, this body is an extension of your awareness, because your awareness is now aware of the sensations of your body. You can sense your body. It has a form. And you can also sense how you feel this moment, bringing your focus towards your chest. You know if you are happy or if you are unhappy. You know what you're thinking, and you know how you feel. Do you feel as though you're suffering? Or do you feel that you are liberated? Notice the sensations when your body makes contact with the ground, chair that you're sitting on. As you breathe in, bring this focus upwards to your hips, As you breathe out, take this focus down your thighs to your knees, moving down to your ankles, and then moving your focus to your feet.